So I have clothes out today. Today I'm going to be sculpting tiny ornaments to put on my little Halloween tree. Can you even see it? It's just black on a background of black for me, so. But I got this little tree and I'm going to put some ornaments on it. And I'm going to make those today. So, first one, I got a new Halloween sticker pack and I want to open it on the stream. So you guys can get excited for spooky season with me. I'm hoping that my microphone is loud enough because again, I don't actually have a microphone until I get a new headset. I'm trying not to be too loud because I don't want to wake up my mom who worked a night shift last night, so sorry if I'm quiet. Oh yeah, I forgot this one. It came with a little necklace. I was just excited about Halloween stickers. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh, that's interesting. I think this is that Jim Henson show that's on Netflix that I don't watch and can't think of the name of. So that's kind of cool. So I got these because I put stickers in with my orders and I thought it would be kind of fun to have Halloween ones to put in with orders for October. Probably gonna keep that one, not gonna lie. Little spell book. Jack and Sally. Those are really cute because they look like little rag dolls almost. And then that's the whole Nightmare Before Christmas crew. Oh, a pumpkin. Here we go. I got like a... Right, here we go. Okay, so it's a Patronus scaring away a Dementor. That's kind of cool. Jack Skellington. That's cute. Hi, Colleen. Oh, Sam. Sam's going in my keep pile. Got this little Grim Reaper. So I'm doing like a short unboxing before I start my sculpting because I bought a Halloween sticker pack and I haven't seen it yet. So that's cute. It's a little ghost. Oh, that's really cute. Oh man. I wish these had come like a couple of days sooner because I would have sent that in with my Halloween Blythe swap. Because my partner mentioned really liking kitschy vintage Halloween decorations. And this really reminds me of like the 1950s style Halloween decorations. This one says the Great Pumpkin has a cult. That's kind of fun. I like that. I got a little ghosty. Jack and Sally again. Sam! Those are going in my pile. Headless Horseman. Yeah, right? Oh, if only I had gotten it like 2 days sooner, I would have put that right in there. And then we got Oogie Boogie's Kids. Oh, this one's cool. It looks like it's stitched. It looks like embroidery. Ooh, I really want to put that in my keep pile, but that's a cool one. I'm gonna put that to go in with my stuff. I got this one, that's really cute. Another Sam. I think my customers are gonna have to fight me if they want those Sams. It's a little haunted house. Jack-o'-lantern. I don't recognize these characters. I'm not sure what they're from, but they're cute. Oh, I think this is from over the garden wall. Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna keep that one. A little bat. I saw that one in the Amazon preview and I knew that was going to my keep pile. That's so cute. I'm gonna put that on one of my sketchbooks. We got skeleton. Halloween Town. And the haunted house. And we've got another Nightmare Before Christmas. I like it spooky. I like that one. Man, there's some good ones in here. So every order that I put out in October, I'll put a whole bunch of these. I usually put like 3 stickers, so I'll put at least a few of these in each order. Yeah, that's not Trick or Treat, Hocus Pocus. My other favorite Halloween movie. Oh, Kitty and Pumpkin. Witch Hat. Scarecrow. Oh, little kitty with a bat wing. Another Sam. Some witches. Another Sally. I like that. Booyah. Little ghost. Another Jack Skellington. I haven't been to Salem. It's on my list of things that I really want to do at some point. So that's an interesting one. That's kind of fun. Okay, my mom's up now, so I can be a little louder. Witch Hat. Oh, this one's really pretty. Oh, I like that. I might even take this one out of the stickers and put like a little mini frame on it for a doll diorama, because that's a really nice one. Yeah, I really want to go. I can't really travel right now because of health reasons. Oh. So unfortunately I don't get to see anything but the immediate area, and especially even right now because I'm isolating again because I'm having another asthma flare. So I can't even leave my house at the moment. But I hope to go someday. Some more little pumpkins. I think that would be really fun, especially at Halloween. Although I feel like at Halloween it would almost be like too crowded and touristy. So maybe it would be better to go a different time of year. Save all your kisses for me with a Dementor. That's kind of fun. 2 people in October. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Night Before Christmas. So I think it would probably be good to go in the off season. I like that one. It's got a little ghost in the bottle. Stay spooky. Sorta spooky. Sorta spooky. I was trying to read it upside down. Another Grim Reaper. Oh, I had one similar to this, but in black and white, and with a different sticker order that I bought. That's kind of cute. I like that. Another Halloween Town. Basic Witch. Another kitty on a pumpkin. Oh, this one's really cute. Oh, well, that's kind of a bummer. I wonder if they'd let you make an appointment to go in the off season to the stuff that's closed. Is this one? like that it's got Jack and Sally and the Corpse Bride characters. Oh, look at how cute this one is. Oh my gosh, this is a good pack. They're not all like Halloween, so I feel like a lot of these will be fine to keep in my sticker packs even when it's not October. This is hilarious. I love this one. Oh, I like the cupcake. Keep the cupcake. Put that in my file. I have to get these big packs of stickers because I always end up keeping like at least a small handful from every pack that I buy. Halloween Squad. Aww. Another Jack and Sally. Yeah, this is a good one. Sometimes I get these sticker packs and they're not that great. This one is a really good selection. Haven't had any doubles yet. And they're all pretty good. Oh, this one's really pretty too. I think I might do another mini frame on this one. Cute little bat. Oogie Boogie. It's always Halloween in my soul. Yep, that's me. There's a Grim Reaper. Oh, this is another one that would have been great to put in my swap box. Ah. This one almost looks like Amy Brown art. I like that. Snag that one. Like the moon with the zombie hand. Sam Sucker. Another Jack Skellington. Another vintagey one. That's really fun. Another Jack. This one's definitely an Amy Brown fairy, I feel like. I'm pretty sure I had a notebook or a folder or something with this exact fairy on it as a teenager. Here's another Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a really cute Oogie Boogie one. Another Happy Halloween. Coming to the end, another Sam. There's another Jack. Oh, here's another fun little witch. Another Halloween. The last one, I Put a Spell on You. That's a good pack, man. Now I just need to get those October orders rolling in so I can start putting these out. Okay, set these aside now. Ornaments that I'm going to make for my Halloween tree. I want to make some of my little blockhead skulls. Obviously, you've got to make some coffins. I'm thinking I may sculpt just some little orange circles to do like the little jack-o'-lantern noses that I do for the Zero plush. I want to do some bigger ones to make some circles, and I'm thinking candy corn would be kind of fun. So I have my little stencil pieces that I made for the coffin and the skull. I don't have anything for candy corn, so I think I'm just going to kind of do a flatter version of little cone shapes for candy corns. I want to do ghosts, but I want to make them with like little scraps of fabric tied over beads to make ghosts, so they won't be sculpted. I kind of want to do bats too, but I don't know that I can cut a bat small enough because my tree, it's pretty small. It's a very tiny little tree, so these are going to have to be, like, this is probably going to be the biggest of the things that I'm going to be cutting out today, so they're all going to be pretty tiny. I don't know that I can cut a bat that small, so I may have to figure something else out if I want to bats on my tree. I have regular air dry clay. I have squishy air dry clay. I'm going to use the squishy clay for the pumpkins just because it's already orange. I think the squishy clay would be good for the candy corn too because it'll be, you know, kind of puffy. It won't be as flat even after I roll it out. And use the air dry clay for everything else. I took out my epoxy, but I think I'm not going to use it just because epoxy's kind of, it's a little harder to work with, to be honest. And there's a lot of waiting time involved in using epoxy. So I'm going to set my epoxy spoons over here. I keep my clay wrapped up very well. It's wrapped 3 separate times in plastic, and then I also put it in a small plastic tote. So it's, and in a dark area so that even the sun can't get on it. So I bought this block of clay like probably almost 6 months ago. Well, no, it was probably more like a year ago at this point, and it's still good. Still nice and moist. So I use that for coffins and skulls. I need to find my awl because I want to put holes into it now rather than trying to use my hand drill to do it after it dries. Wrap it back up for now. It's probably with my carving tools. Got a nice little bag for my carving tools here that has a canvas lining so I can't accidentally stab myself with the sharp tools when I go to grab it anymore. And that was made by Fanned Bags. They're on Facebook, so should anybody need a custom little zipper bag made with fun fabrics. Yeah, I need my little, get that to focus on there. There we go, my little knife tool. Little drills in case I can't find my awl. I bought this one for carving glides, and the thing I jammed on there so much I've never been able to use it. Someday I'm going to figure out how to get that off so I can use it. Not today, but someday. I got my other bigger knife. Here we go. My little awl. I think that's probably all I'm going to need because I'm not doing any kind of texturing or anything on these. I'm just going to cut them out. I'm just going to grab all my little knives. I mean, they're really close in size, but I'd rather have more out than I need than not enough, you know? As a texture tool. Not going to use it, but I want it out of there while I'm digging around because if you've ever poked yourself with one of these, you know that that's not a pleasant experience. I think that's everything I'm going to need. Although maybe my little wheelie thing would be better for cutting than maybe. Oh, I like that for the coffin edges too, so. I need one of my little, I think, is it this one? No. curved tool that I use to smooth out the edges of these. Okay, I think it's that one. Okay, the rest of those back in. And Lazy Susan that is off camera. Grab my little smoothie tools. Spreading them all so I don't spend a whole bunch of time looking for things again. Just need one of the, there we go. Okay. Alright. I don't actually know what happened to, I used to have an acrylic roller. I'm not sure where it went. It ran away. So, I've got rabbit hair trying to sneak into my work surface. So I think I'm actually just going to take a small piece first, since I don't have my roller. It's a little harder to get it even without the roller, so I don't want to work too much. And, oh, I forgot to grab a cup of water before I started. Okay, so some of these. Where's my long one? Size. This is really soft clay, which is better for some things and not as good for others, but because it's soft, like if I make a mistake and I do that and well, you can't even see it, it's totally blown out. Oh, this camera. So if I make like a mistake and I end up with a mark in it and I need to smooth it out, because it's super soft clay, it's kind of marshmallowy when you're first working with it, so it smooths out really easily. Oh boy, I really need to get a better camera. My $15 Amazon buy. It was a Prime Day sale thing. And I wasn't sure how much I was going to like streaming, so I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on like a proper streaming camera. So I bought a $15 webcam, and obviously it's not the greatest. Okay, so after you cut it out, I need my long smooth edge. Just run it back and forth. This is the I'm trying to remember exactly which one it is. It's Das brand, DAS. It's in a red and white pack. It's pretty standard air dry clay used by art doll artists, actually, because that was what I initially bought it for, was I wanted to try sculpting my own art dolls. And I'm still going to do that at some point. I just haven't gotten the confidence to do that just yet. So it's Das brand in the red and white package. That's all I remember off the top of my head. Unfortunately, the package disintegrated after being opened and closed so many times, so I don't have it in front of me anymore. But if you search just air dry clay or Das air dry clay, it should be one of the first things that comes up anywhere that you look for air dry clay. They have it at Michael's. I got mine on Amazon just because, um, just because I couldn't go out at the time, obviously. But yeah, they have it at the craft stores and stuff too. It's probably cheaper there, to be honest. And I got all of my tools on Amazon too. I'm terrible. I'm one of those that's like, man, Amazon is evil, and then I go and I buy absolutely everything on Amazon because I'm a shut-in, and Amazon delivers to my house for free. So, okay, after you smooth it out, you get nice edges, and again, it smooths really nicely because it's such soft clay. It's actually the first one I've tried because I read a lot of reviews before I bought any, and most of the reviews said that the softer the clay is, the easier it is to smooth. And also this one had reviews, a lot of reviews saying that it doesn't shrink much as it dries, which is a big problem with air dry clays. A lot of them shrink as they dry, and then you get cracks in your projects. And this one does not. So you make the hole, and then just really gently smooth the edges again. And now it's good. Just set it aside to dry. So that's how I make all of my little jewelry pieces with this clay. And it's all, I mean, it's really nice. It does have like a handmade look to it because it's kind of rough. I'm not like super duper skilled, and I think that polymer clay is better at getting like a really clean edge, but it's nice and smooth. You don't have like little rough bits. This one supposedly you're supposed to be able to sand it when it dries. I haven't had a lot of luck with sanding it. Take this outer wrapping out. I'm working a little slower because I'm talking. Just to be expected. Just don't want it to dry out while I'm working. Yeah, exactly. It's too easy. It's too easy to buy things on Amazon, and every other website makes things so difficult. So it's almost like, as much as I really dislike Amazon on principle, like they do a lot of things right that other stores just don't. So I can only feel so bad. Like I'm a disabled shut-in, man. I buy how I have to get by. And Amazon caters to me, whereas other websites do not. Especially a lot of the art and craft supply stores, a lot of them ship by weight, and when you're buying things like blocks of clay, it gets really expensive really quickly. Yeah, you can smooth it with water. I usually do, once it starts to dry, like you don't need it when when you first take it out of the block like this, because it's so soft, it smooths really, really nicely. But if it is getting dry and you want to add a little water, you can. I find when it's this, like, freshly unwrapped, putting water on it doesn't really make much of a difference one way or the other. It's a fiber clay, so it's pretty mushy when it comes out of the wrapping for like the first probably 10 minutes. It's just very soft and squishy. So you don't really need anything but your tools. Sometimes even your fingers. But my fingers are a little rough. I have a lot of calluses. Mainly from sewing for like 20 years without thimbles. I've had needles scrape against my fingers for so many years that the tips of my fingers are basically entirely composed of callus at this point. So smoothing things with my fingers doesn't always go well. But these little tools are pretty great. These ones are good too, for smoothing. These little silicone ones. Um, I know that a lot of people use them for polymer clay. I really want to start trying polymer clay, but I'm hesitant to take on another hobby because you do kind of need other supplies. Like you're really not supposed to bake polymer clay in an oven that has food in it, so I'd need to get a space that I can put like a little toaster oven to bake some clay in. Um, on top of getting the clay itself and all of the stuff. So for the moment I just stick with the air dry clay. Okay, so there's another one, nice and smooth. Yeah, a lot of the carving tools are pretty much exactly the same thing. One of the big differences is like this one, obviously you can tell it's not as, well, I'm trying to get a good angle with my camera here to show it off, but it's not as flexible as the other ones. Like these are real bendy. They're really soft, and these ones are pretty hard. So these are better with stiffer clays, because with even like with this stuff, when it's real soft, like you're just gonna smash your clay. You're not gonna smooth anything. You're just squishing it. And then I got these little bitty ones too, which are also, I think these are even more flexible than the blue ones. So but I have found that the flexible ones work really well too if you're using epoxy like on a doll face and you want to smooth the edges onto the doll skin. You need one of these that's really, really bendy. Um, because if you try to use something like this, it's just going to smear it and like pull little pieces off. So generally the tougher ones are better for epoxy, but if you're trying to attach the epoxy to something and smooth your edge, you want the softer tools. And also I make my little stencils out of pieces of cardboard because when you put this edge onto the slightly moist fiber clay, it kind of sticks. So if you're wanting to make stencils to do your clay work, cardboard is a good option. They do eventually deteriorate because of the sticking. um, but I just keep one master copy of my stencils that I don't put onto the clay, and when one starts to deteriorate, I use that and I'll just draw out a new one on a new piece of cardboard. And it's not thick cardboard, it's like cereal box cardboard. I think this piece actually came out of the center of a fat quarter of fabric. So it's just the really thin, like cardstock kind of cardboard. I want to do, I think probably 5 of the little coffins. I'm thinking maybe 5 of each thing would be good enough to decorate my tree. So I'm going to do like 5 little coffins, 5 skulls, 5 pumpkins, probably more than 5 candy corn because I think they're going to be really easy to do. Yeah, epoxy's really good. It sticks to everything. So it's fantastic if you're trying to build onto an already existing surface. I haven't found another clay that sticks as well as epoxy yet. But some of the downsides are that it gets very heavy. So, like, I've used it on a lot of my creepy baby dolls, but I try to use it in combination with other things because, like, even this fiber clay gets really, really heavy if you start building too much. So one of the things I've learned that I didn't know when I started is to try and make like a base of, sorry, where did my pokey thing go? Here we go. You want to make a base of aluminum foil if you're going to build a thick layer of either air dry clay or epoxy or anything that dries heavy. Because if you build that out of aluminum foil and then just put your clay on top of it to smooth it out, it it takes a lot of that weight away, so you don't end up with a super top heavy piece. Because like the Pennywise baby doll that I made, um, ended up so top heavy, I had to create a wire armature for his body just to prop him up. And he still couldn't stand. He had to sit because his head was so heavy that without the wire armature, he just toppled forward. And it was just the big bulbous forehead. And all I used was this stuff, which is heavy when it dries, but it's not as heavy as epoxy. So if I had used epoxy on him, I think he would have needed a stand to be able to be upright. Um, so I'm kind of curious, honestly, how a lot of the Blythe artists that use epoxy on their dolls manage to get them to stand so nicely in pictures. I'm wondering if they have perhaps some kind of stand, or they have the doll propped against something that you can't see, because it gets really heavy really quickly. Um,
I don't know if I have any epoxy things in here done yet. Yeah, so find one of these little charms.
so I don't know if it'll be able to pick up the sound, but it makes like a heavier thunk when you drop an epoxy piece versus an air dry clay piece. So, yeah, magic. Sometimes I think so. Um, but like I made this piece, and I was gonna make it as like a necklace pendant, like a big jewelry piece. I initially wanted to put it on the face of one of my plush blockhead dolls, but the way that I make those with the chibi body, you can't really put them on a stand, and when I pinned it to a face of one of my blockheads, it fell forward because it's heavy. So I'm gonna have to figure out, I think I may put it on like a necklace chain instead, because it's just all of these clays, like they get so heavy. Other than the Model Magic, like this is the only one I have that I've tried so far that doesn't get heavy, but it also stays kind of a little bit squishy.
and
And
especially
especially
when
when
you
you
paint
paint
on
on
it.
it.
I don't think I have anything that's been painted with it right now, but
Some of the first of my zero blockheads that I sent out had that clay as their nose, and I call it marshmallow clay because it's so squishy when it's done that it's like a marshmallow, even after it fully cures. So when I packaged them, I had to warn people that they might be a little squished when they arrive, but because it's super soft clay, you just need to. Sorry, I gotta re-wet my clay here. Because it's super soft clay, like you can literally just squish it back into a round ball. So this stuff dries kind of like a stone. Like this one, you can tell I didn't really bother sanding it, because I figured I would sand it when it was dry, and it will be easier than trying to do it while it was wet. So it is fiber clay, so you have to be careful when you sand it, because if you sand off more than just the rough pieces, you get like these little fibrous bits because it's made with paper pulp. So it looks like stone, it's not as heavy as stone. That's kind of the selling point of it. That, and that you don't need a kiln to be able to use it. but it also, oh, my music's gone. I think my playlist ended. There we go. So, just dipping my finger in a little water. And it gets really slimy if you put too much water on it, so you kind of have to be really, really careful and add small amounts of water at a time. I wish this camera would focus, but it just sees it as white and just blows it completely out. Okay, so also because I have little fuzzies that are starting to attach to my silicone mat, now it's got little spots in it. But I'm going to paint it, so it's okay. I'm just going to have to remember to wipe my area down with my damp cloth before I get to the candy corn ones, because I won't be able to leave any white uncovered if there's little specks of lint in it. These little silicone mats are good too. I had originally like a little square of acrylic that I worked on, but it gets really scratched up because of the cutting tools, because these are actually pretty sharp. So it got real scratched up really quickly, and then the clay started sticking to it because it was scratched. Um, and also my epoxy just stuck to it immediately. Silicone is like one of the only things that epoxy seems to not stick to. So when you do get your epoxy and you want to start playing with it, definitely get a silicone mat. Because any other surface you try to put it down on, oh, that came out too thin. This is why I need my roller. I have to figure out what I did with that. I started packing up this area already, so I have a bunch of things that are just missing now. Pretty much the only thing that still has me excited about moving is that I'm going to get a whole room for my dolls and my art stuff, and I'll actually be able to put things away properly and like buy myself organizational stuff to actually store all of my supplies in, and they'll have a place that they go every single time instead of being on my kitchen table all the time. Got one little bit on the top here that just won't smooth all the way out. Oh, it just popped right off. That works. If it won't smooth out, at least it comes off. Get my edge back. Because it came off of a corner, now I have a rounded edge. Okay. Yeah, I did a major cleaning and sorting and got rid of a whole bunch of stuff out of this room probably about 6 months ago. No, it might have been more. I think it was around February of this year. Um, for a while I was doing a good job of making sure that everything got put back every time I was done using it, but it's kind of a hassle because this isn't really a crafty room. I just have like my drafting table behind me to this side, my desk way back in the corner over there. So a lot of things are like shoved and stacked in containers on top of each other. And when I was putting it away, as soon as I finished with it, every single time I had to take the container out to take stuff out, take the container out to put stuff away. And it was too much. It was too much work. So I just stopped doing it after a while, and now I have like half of everything on my table right now. I have like half of my paint drawer, like just out of view. I have my sewing machine just out of view over here. So I need to get back to that, but it's hard to do in a room where you don't really have room for everything because the sorting system is not convenient. So I think when I have a room that I can organize the way it needs to be as opposed to just how it happens to fit into the room, it'll it'll get easier. Alright, I'm gonna do the skulls next, so no, I won't be able to fit both of them on there. I'm gonna have to get another hunk of clay. Stick it down with a big knife. Just lift it up. Grab another chunk on the bottom. So I think the biggest difference between this stuff and polymer clay, other than that polymer clay has to be baked, is, I don't know if I can get the camera to focus enough to show it, but when you cut it, you get like these little really ragged edges because it's made with paper pulp. So like there's little fibrous bits on the edge when you cut it, and with polymer clay, when you cut it, you just automatically get a really clean edge. So I think that if I were to start playing with polymer clay, it would probably be easier for making little bitty things like this because I wouldn't have to smooth as much every single time that I make a cut. And so sometimes you get those like little lumps of fiber that are just kind of stuck on there. I really like it though because when it's dry, it really behaves more like a stone clay than a polymer clay. You can sand it, you can drill it. You can't really sand or drill polymer clay. I mean, I think you could probably poke it, like with the awl, like I do when it's wet. But, like if this were to dry, it has kind of a rough edge on this side. I don't know if you can see, it's got kind of a lip to the edge. And that's something that would be really, really easily fixed by going over it with really fine grit sandpaper. once it dries. The edges of that hole do not want to smooth. But again, I can sand it if it really stays rough. I can sand it once it dries. Yeah, I'm trying to smooth that little focus camera. That little, there you go, you can kind of see it now, that little lip on that edge, and it just doesn't want to smooth. So I think I'm going to leave it, and when the piece is fully dry, I'm going to sand it. So, okay, that's 5 little coffins. So I'm going to start doing skulls. Now I got slime from the clay on my hands. It really gets slimy if you put water on it. Take another hunk. So I actually started sculpting, I think it was last year. I want to say like March or April of last year, because I had the hand surgery last year in January, and I thought that this would be really good occupational therapy to get my hand moving again without a whole lot of pressure on it. And I expected absolutely nothing productive to come out of it. So the fact that I have used it on my creepy baby dolls, I've made jewelry pieces with it. I made my lizard girl Blythe with a sculpted face. Like I, it started out as just a hobby to get my hands moving, but I'm really honestly happy with the amount of stuff I've been able to accomplish with sculpting. Especially because I took a sculpture class in high school, and it was the only time I've ever gotten a pity A in my life. But for like the first probably 3 or 4 weeks at least of the semester, the instructor was absolutely convinced that I just wasn't trying, because every other... Oh no! Video is frozen. Oh, my little red square on OBS is... My little square on OBS is red. So I think my signal is really bad right now. I'm going to try and fix it in a minute. But I'm glad you could watch for a little bit. Thanks for joining me. Let me pull my stream up so I can see if I can get it going again. Okay, it's a little choppy. It's showing up a little choppy for me, so I think it just needs a minute. But yeah, so this instructor for the first few weeks of the class was absolutely convinced that I was just screwing around or not trying, because every other art elective I've taken before and since, I just really excelled at. And I don't know, I guess the art teachers had been talking, and he was just convinced that for whatever reason I wasn't taking his class seriously. And then at one point he actually did sit down with me and watch me really, really, truly struggle to get anything accomplished. I can't. I have trouble with bringing ideas in my head into physical form. I still do to this day. And I didn't at the time know what it was. I do now, and that's made it easier. it's just a matter of like the way my brain processes information um, wasn't really conducive to creating physical art, let's say. Um, okay. Like I don't see things as shapes. I need to be able to see the entire thing at once or I can't do it. So when I was trying to sculpt from scratch, like I just couldn't see what I wanted to make. Um, so it wasn't until he spent like half a class period just with me, watching me genuinely struggle, that he realized that I absolutely was trying. I'm just really not great at sculpting. And I think that had we been able to figure out what my problem was at the time, we might have been able to remedy that, but obviously, high school classes, you have like 30 people in the same class. You can't spend days of your class period with one student. So it wasn't until I got into fashion school and had one of my fashion illustration periods where I was literally the only student in the class that I had somebody sit down with me and figure out what it was about my brain that didn't compute to creating physical art from scratch. So I still credit that teacher with being the reason that I can draw today and that I can kind of sort of start to sculpt. I'm still not great at it. Um, I can only do pretty basic stuff, but I'm getting there. I've made a lot more progress than I did in, I think, like 18 weeks as a high school semester. I made no progress in that class. Everything I made fell apart in the kiln. I didn't take any of it home. I was pretty embarrassed by everything that I made in that class. I do kind of regret it now, not taking any of it home, because I think that it would have been interesting to be able to look back on. But I mean, I get it. I was really embarrassed by it. All of it. I didn't make anything in that class that I was really proud of. Alright, so my clay is starting to get a little bit drier than it was when I started. So now I have to use water to smooth the edges. And I'm still getting these little fibery bits that I'm going to have to sand off later. This clay also gets sticky, unfortunately, when it's wet. So you're going to have a lot of fingerprints. Fine grit sandpaper is definitely your friend when you're working with paper clay. Get some of the stickiness off of me. Oops, that's not the old. There we go. So you can definitely see what I was talking about better on this one with those little raggedy fiber bits. Because it's fiber clay rather than polymer clay, you don't get a clean edge. It's just, sometimes it's just better to just pull those off rather than try and smooth them. When you have big lumps like that, you just want to take them right off. Yeah, see, another one just came off. Okay, and you can kind of see here that it's got a big cut in it. Because I accidentally went in a little too hard with that knife into this area. So, while it's got the water on it, I'm just going to tap it and try and get that to reattach to itself while it's sticky. Okay, so I think that's looking nice and smooth. So I'm going to put a hole in it. Try and get it fully centered. I might even enlarge these holes just a little bit later. Since I'm not using them as jewelry, I'm going to want to string ribbon through them instead of a little metal jump ring, so the holes might end up needing to be bigger. So that's another reason to use the air dry clay rather than epoxy, because it's a lot easier to drill through later if I need to. I didn't put quite enough water on there because it's cracking on the side.
go.
My fingers are still too sticky. It wants to stick to me instead of the clay. Go. I want my tiniest knife. I think is this one. Yeah. So that I don't keep accidentally going in too far on those little teeth. This is why I'm not making bats, even though I really would love to have bats on my Halloween tree. I think it's just too small to try and cut out anything that's going to have that many little angles. Go. Oops. Can I get one more on here? Yes. I'm going to try and cut one more out of this blob. And then I will smooth all the edges. Just trying to get all of the moisture back into it. Oops. Oh, there's just enough. Look at that. Wow. It's kind of perfect. Okay. Then I'm going to take all of this and put it back in here. Squish it on there really good. And it'll soak up the moisture from the rest of the block and rejoin itself, so you don't actually have any waste with this clay. the skulls. So just smooth the edges. Scrape off some of those little fiber bits. Smooth the little edges on the teeth. So there's one little hole. There's my awl. I think that one might have been slightly off center, but it should be alright. Just enlarge it a little bit by going that way. Since I was saying I was probably going to need to make the hole bigger anyway, this one will just already be a larger hole. That one smoothed out really nice. I think I did a better cut on that one. There just wasn't as much to remove. Okay. I think that's probably the neatest one I've got done yet. One more of these, and I think I'm going to do some candy corns. This one's rough. That last one was the neatest. This is one of the messiest. A little bit too much water. Smooth the backside. Okay.
Nope.
Smooth it away. Get all this out of the work area before I switch to the other clay, because the other one is that super soft marshmallow clay, and I have a bunch of the hard little fiber clay bits in there. I don't know how that's going to cure, so off really good. Trying to get all of these little bits. Okay. Oh, my little square is going red again. So my video is not connecting, or not staying connected today very well. So I may just do the candy corns and then call it a day and do my pumpkins off camera. Just because I don't know why my signal is being like this today, but it's not windy or anything outside. But it just seems to want to drop. Okay, so this stuff. It's really kind of interesting to work with. So it's really stretchy. It's almost like, you know, that slime stuff that the kids like to play with. It kind of reminds me of that, but a little bit more solid, just a little bit, because it is pretty stretchy, and I think it bounces, if I remember correctly. Make a little ball, see if I can bounce it. Yeah, it's it's bouncy. So it's kind of rubbery. It's really, really different than the last one to work with. But it does have this really nice, very soft, smooth finish. So it's not great if you want something that you're trying to carve details into. For that, I would use the paper clay or epoxy. But if you just want, like, especially something like candy corn, which is why I'm using it for the candy corn pieces, it works pretty well for that. So I think this might still be too big of a piece because I'm trying to get.
The cone in front of me, that's the piece, that's the size I'm looking for.
Well, maybe not, because I want something that's just about this size but flatter. So yeah, I think this might work. And I'm going to just kind of get a little bit of a cone shape going. And then, oops, no, I think it is a little bit too big because once I flatten it, it's going to get bigger. So you gotta roll it around a lot because otherwise you don't get that smoothness. You get every little line from where it was torn. So you can still kind of just sort of see it. And as it dries, those become a little bit more prominent. So this stuff, when you want it nice and smooth like that, you gotta roll it a lot. Okay, so to make a candy corn, I'm gonna do this. Try and do it in a way that the camera can capture. So I'm just squishing it gently between two fingers, and then using these fingers to get the shape back to where I want it. Kind of smooth it around so that it doesn't have harsh edges. I want it to look just like a piece of candy corn. So make it skinny at the top, and then I'm going to put it down on the bottom like that because when it dries, it's going to get kind of flat on the bottom. It's going to get flat on whatever side you put it on. And I want the candy corn to be a little bit more rounded on the sides. So if I stand it up, then only the bottom will end up flat. So I think I'm just going to work with this piece. I'm going to put the rest of it away. I always wrap my air dry clays very tightly because you can never be too safe with making sure that you get all of these plastic wraps sealed very well. You don't want any air getting in there. If any air gets in there at all, then your whole block of clay is ruined. So I always do that, wrap it up really well. And these ones, just because they're so delicate, the other clay you can bring it back with water. This clay you cannot bring it back with water. Water does nothing to it. So wrap it up, and then I put it in a plastic bag. Squeeze all the air out and seal that. And then it goes back in there. So yeah, that other clay, pretty much anything you make, even after it dries, it's not fully permanent until you paint and seal it. It still will go back to clay if you let it sit in some water. But this stuff, when it dries, it dries. You're done. It doesn't go back. So make sure that I got all of the little wrinkles wrinkles and stuff out of it. Okay. No, I got more wrinkles somehow. I'm going to scoot this back because I'm going to keep bumping into it. And unfortunately, bumping this camera too many times causes it to freeze. Because again, it's a $15 piece of junk webcam. It is not a nice webcam. I got it on Amazon Prime Day on sale. I think I actually paid about $10 for it. So it's technically a $15 camera. I paid about $10 for it. And for $10, it was a good deal to help me figure out that I do like streaming and it's something I want to keep doing. So now that I know that, I can go out and spend the money and get a better camera. And I think what I'm actually going to end up doing is I'm going to take in my DSLR and see if I can't trade it in for a DSLR that also does video. So that I can still do my doll photography, but also have a good streaming camera. Okay, so there's another little candy corn. I think some of these are going to end up bigger because I'm just going to get to the point where I don't want to keep breaking little pieces off. Because it creates wrinkles that are hard to roll out. So that's probably okay. I'll just put them on the bigger branches on the bottom of the tree if they're, bigger ornaments. Or maybe I can even use them for jewelry. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. Some Halloween jewelry with little candy corn charms. Oop, nearly dropped it. Just trying to get a more candy corn-like shape. Slightly more conical. Okay. Yeah, see, that one came out a little bigger, but that's okay. I'm not sure how big I'm going to want to make the pumpkins. Oops. There goes my pumpkin out of my drawer. I think maybe like this size for the pumpkins. Maybe a little bigger. I don't know. Let's see. This is going pretty quick, so maybe I will be able to do the pumpkins on screen or on stream too. I don't know if you can see how when I push this down it's trying to come back up, because it really is very rubbery and squishy. It's more like foam than clay. Oops. But the upside to that squishiness and that want to rise that it has is that it doesn't really hold fingerprints terribly like the other clays. Which is good because since you can't use water on it, there's really no good way to smooth it. You can't sand it either because again it dries like a foam rather than like a stone clay. So if you were to try and sand it, you would just shred it. That's the skinny one. Oh
Oh no!
no! That's the other downside to this clay is it sticks to itself. It won't stick to anything else. But if it touches itself at all, those pieces are not coming back apart. So every time I make stuff with this, I have to be really careful about how I dry it. And like when I do the little zero noses, usually I'll stab a pin through the bottom and stab the pin into a piece of foam so that they dry standing like that, because if I leave them sitting, they dry with a flat bottom, number one, and number two, if anything bumps the surface that they're sitting on and they touch each other, then they all get stuck together and they're all ruined. So I don't think that's really going to work for candy corn ornaments, so I'm just going to have to put them down far enough apart that they hopefully will not fall over and stick to each other. Trying to not have such harsh lines on them. There we go. I think they're all going to be slightly different in size because the little quirks of this clay make it really hard to get a good size comparison when you're taking pieces off of the block. I think as long as they're relatively the same size and still candy corn shaped, we'll be good to go though. And then I'm just going to paint the yellow and orange on them. And I just paint them with regular old acrylic paint. This Model Magic clay though, just FYI, it's a thirsty clay. It's gonna suck that paint right in, so you have to be really careful when you're painting because you cannot wash anything off of this clay. So whatever color touches it, that's what color that spot is going to be. I have not found anything that rinses off of it. So you can't use watercolor pencils and try and sketch out anything ahead of time. It's pretty much just whatever's there is what's going to be there forever. And it takes a little bit more paint than the paper clay because it just soaks it in so quickly that you have to put more layers on for it to be opaque. And then I use this Deco Art Duraclear gloss varnish. And I put several layers on there. I put them really thick, and I'll set it down on a flat surface like this and just kind of drip it on and get it all over enough that it fills up the surface but doesn't drip over the sides. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side, and then I do about 3 coats on the edges, and it gets like a really glassy finish almost. So there we go. If I can get the camera to really pick up on it. It's hard to catch there. Yeah, see how shiny that is? It almost looks like enamel when it's done. So that's the paper clay. And then this is just one coat over the paint after I got all of the paint onto the Model Magic foam clay. This is one coat of the gloss, so it's still pretty shiny. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do for these ornaments, is just one coat on the foam clay. So that it looks more like ceramics than enamel. That did not go. I squished it too skinny. I think I got about 2 more of these out of this. The one in my hand and the one down there. And then I'm going to do the pumpkins. Okay. So, just sort of gently shaping it. Kind of flattening the bottom to make it a little wider. And then kind of stretch the top. Push it down. It's coming out more of a pyramid than a candy corn shape. Squish it a little bit more at the top. Okay, I think that's close enough. Do the last one. Okay, this is the last one. Push the bottom in. Okay, oh no, don't touch. That was close. Alright, that's the candy corns. Oh, some of these are trying to curl. Occasionally they'll do that, and usually what I do is I just, oops, flip them the other way so that the edges that are trying to curl are the bottom, and I tap them down until they lay flat again. I think that's just because of how much water I was using to smooth them. Alright, take a little pinch of this orange. Ooh. Okay, so you see how some of it isn't shiny? I think some air might have gotten in. I'm hoping that's still usable. But this is why I wrap it as tightly as I do, because I don't like to take any chances with that. I know I just said water doesn't do anything with this clay, but I'm going to try throwing a little water on the areas that have started to dry, just in the hopes that it will keep the areas around it from solidifying. And then I'm going to do this. And try and get those areas into the middle and see if I can't salvage them. Because it should only look matte like that after you've been handling it. It shouldn't look matte like that when you're opening it. So hopefully with those areas in the middle of the block, they haven't been exposed long enough to really dry out. Hopefully. I don't know if this clay is salvageable once it gets like that. But that was a whole side of the block that was like that. I don't want to lose like half my clay. I don't use the orange often, but the things I do use it for, I really prefer to have this and not have to paint the white. Okay. Let me make sure I'm squeezing all of the air out. Okay, no air in there. All of the air out. Okay. Alright, hopefully it'll still be okay. If not, at least this clay isn't expensive. I haven't bought any for kind of a while, but I want to say that these little bags are like $2, $3 each at Walmart. So it's not expensive. If it is ruined, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Okay. I might go a little bit smaller for the pumpkins. I'll just take about 1/3 of the clay out of there. Sure, I rolled all the creases out. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably, compared to the candy corn, I think that's probably a good size to do the pumpkins. The skulls are a little bigger, but because they're flat, I think it'll not look quite as big once they're actually on the tree. Alright, so what I want to do is just kind of put a little dent in for where I'm going to glue in the little finding to attach it to the tree. So, and that does make the bottom a little bit flat, so I'm going to pick it back up and just kind of smooth it out. And then, this is what I was talking about before. I'm going to find some pins that I can stick into my foam. So I'm going to take these pins that have a little itty bitty head on them, and I'm going to just put that head up in there, and then I'm going to stick that down into a piece of foam so that the pumpkins can dry without getting a flat bottom. Just going to smooth the bottom back into being round again. Okay, so set that aside for a minute. I don't actually have my foam out. My foam is in a drawer, so I'm going to stick them into my little bag off the side of the screen. Take a few more pins out so I'm ready to go. Alright. Just roll all of the creases back out again. I'm going to try poking the little dent into it while it's in my hand instead of on the thing and see if I can get it without the black bottom. Yeah. See, that gets a little bit more of a pumpkin shape. No flat bottoms. And stick the pin up there. Put it over here to dry. And then if I decide I want stems on my pumpkins, I can sculpt them later out of epoxy. Because epoxy sticks to everything. So, this one has a little bit of a crease in it. But I think it'll be okay. I don't think it's a big enough crease that it's going to pull apart as it dries, so it should be alright. Stuck that one too close together because you don't want this clay to touch. Oh, that was too big. I think I should be able to get 3 more. So I'll have 6 pumpkins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candy corns, 5 skulls, and 5 coffins. And I think that should be enough to decorate my whole little tree. So next week I may have them all painted and I may just put them on my tree on my stream. I am trying to do Halloween stuff all month for October. Because I gotta. See creases. So. Okay. Another good pumpkin shape. Oops. A little bit of a dent in it with my finger by accident. Gotta be really careful. I think this last one might end up being just a little bit smaller than the others. last one. Okay, so that's really all I had planned for today. So it's not even 5, but I'm gonna call it today. Especially because my signal has been kind of spotty. Um, so I'm gonna be doing probably Limbo again on my game stream on Thursday night. And then Tuesday, depending on where I am with all of my ornaments, because I closed myself off to custom orders until I get moved. I just don't want to be taking all kinds of supplies out for that. So I'm going to be working just on my own stuff for a little bit. Um, Depending on where these are with painting, I may be hanging them all, decorating my tree on my stream for Tuesday. I still have more figurines to paint, so I can always do that too. Um, I don't know if there's any other kind of Halloween craft anybody wants to see. Send me, like, if you see, like, one of those, 5-minute crafts videos that has some stupid Halloween stuff that you want me to review, like, send me a link. Send me suggestions. Anyway, that's it. See everybody on Thursday, and then again for more art stuff next Tuesday.